Welcome to In Progress, a podcast to help you grow and learn how to become a better version of yourself. Now, here's your host, Michael Sirigliano.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of In Progress. I'm your host, Michael Sirigliano. Now, I want to take you back for a second. I want you to think back to middle school and high school. Do you remember your friends or classmates who used to get picked up from their parents in the nicest cars, and then when everyone started getting cars, they had the nicest cars? And have you ever wondered when you went to their house or when you saw people out and about, you see these wonderful, happy families, dressed well, have the nice house. Have you ever wondered how they got there? Well, I have. And not until recently, when I was listening to another podcast, did I realize the truth behind that. So, not every family that is happy or rich was always happy and rich, right? At some point in their lineage, the one showed up. The one person who had the ability, the veracity, the motivation to change that. They were the ones that opened up that business. They were the ones that spent the long nights, the tireless hours. They were the ones that put in the work. And so up until that point, they were just like anybody else. They were a regular family, a middle-class family, maybe even less, until that one person decided that they were going to change the trajectory of their family and their lineage forever. And that one person is you. That one person is you. And you are the one working to become better. You are the one trying to open up businesses, make more money, do more for yourself so that your family can be that happy, wealthy family, right? So in order to be the one, what makes the one different from everybody else? Well, the answer to that is simple. Everything, right? But it comes down more so to habits than anything else. So with that being said, right, there's people who will go out and party and live their life, have fun. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with people having fun and enjoying their youth, because that's what everybody does. But if you want a different outcome, then you obviously can't partake in the same activities as everybody else, because everybody else is not going to become successful. Everybody else is living their day-to-day life in their dead-end job, hating their life, which is why they're numbing themselves over the weekend. And you don't want that outcome. So why in the hell would you partake in such activities? Well, you wouldn't, right? You're in the gym. You're grinding. You're doing research on your business. You're putting in the hours, the late nights, the early mornings. You're doing the work. Because unlike everybody else who parties and enjoys their youth, you understand that now is the time to really put in that work, put in that extra work to make a change for not only yourself, but for your family, your parents, your siblings, your future children, your future spouse. You're making a change for all of them, and that's why you're putting in the work now. When you're young, when you're energetic, when you have the ability to run off of no sleep. Because when you get older, and it does hit you, because it will hit you, once you get older, you're going to realize this shit fucking sucks. But you're going to be 40 years old, 35 years old at the time. Now, obviously you can start putting in the work and start doing this whenever you want, but with time against you, right? From the day you are born, your clock is ticking. So why would you not give yourself an extra 15, 20-year advantage on the competition? So when that 35, 40-year-old is now deciding that, you know what? I think I do want to start a business. I do want more for myself. You're 18, 19, 20 making the same decision. You're ahead of the game. So in 5 years, 10 years, maybe you and that person see the exact same results, but you're seeing those results at 25, 30. They're seeing those results at 40, 45. You see the difference there? So then you can, get to a point where maybe you want to fall back a little bit and you want to have the business be self-sufficient. You can do that. You're only 30, 35 years old. Who gives a fuck? You're young enough to enjoy yourself and you've already put in the work. So why would you not start early? And if you want a different outcome than everybody else, you need to be willing to be different than everybody else. You need to be willing to put in that work that everybody else is not willing to put in. So there was a study done. How much work is required in order to stand out? And a catchphrasey kind of thing popped up that I saw, and I did some research into that as well, and it blew me away. So the rule of 100 is what it's called. Some of you may have heard of it, some of you may have not. So the rule of 100, what that means simply is, if you spend a year putting 100 hours into a craft, into a discipline, over the course of that year, you will be better than 95% of the world's population in that craft or in that discipline. So if you spend 100 hours in a year speaking to a camera, you are going to be better at speaking to a camera or speaking in general than 95% of the world's population. And I can attest to this because of the podcast. I've recognized that public speaking for me is no longer an issue. I'm no longer shy or afraid of speaking in front of large groups of people because I do that now. Granted, it's not live in person, but I do that now. I record these podcasts knowing full well that people that I don't know or, hundreds of thousands of people have the ability to see this. So I speak to the camera with that in mind. And because of that, I went from being the shy kid that couldn't talk to anybody to being able to speak to a room full of people without stuttering, without my voice being low, without being timid, because I practice the craft. And that goes for anything, whether it's martial arts, working out in the gym, whatever business you're doing, whatever research you're doing. If you put in the 100 hours over the course of a year, you will be better than 95% of the world's population. Now, let's break that down a step further. How are you going to possibly put 100 hours of work in a year into anything? That's a lot of time. 100 hours is a long time. If you break that down to a daily number, so 365 days in the year, if you just spend 18 minutes on that discipline, that equals 100 hours at the end of the year. So 18 minutes a day is all that you need to put aside toward your craft or discipline in order to be able to outperform and be better than 95% of the world's population. So when it's put into that when it's put like that, that's realistic, extremely realistic. Let's say that you want to, just for the sake of this, do a podcast. 18 minutes a day speaking to a camera, or however many hours or whatever in a week, speaking to a camera, you will be better than 95% of the world's population. Say you want to get fit, get in shape, learn how to work out. 18 minutes a day. 18 minutes a day is all that it takes to be better than the majority of the world. Now that's crazy. And that's so simple, that's so easy to do. 18 minutes, that's nothing. That's a little bit of time before bed. That's a little bit of time in the morning when you wake up. It's not like you have to change your entire day to accommodate this new discipline or craft that you're trying to cultivate. 18 minutes is nothing. 18 minutes is literally nothing. You spend more time than that watching TV at night. You spend more than that on your phone throughout the day. 18 minutes is so achievable. And to know that just putting aside 18 minutes to become one of the best should blow you away. You should be immediately motivated to start doing it, because 18 minutes is not shit at all. So there's a quote that I saw online a quote that I heard online that kind of goes with that, because everybody, if we take it back to this exact same thing, 18 minutes a day, anybody could do that, right? 18 minutes a day, you're probably hearing that and you're like, oh, 18 minutes is nothing. I can do that. 18 minutes a day, I can do that, no problem. Here's the issue. As I said earlier, most people do not focus on their craft. Most people do not actually put in the work. So, Coach Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers was speaking to his team, and they were recording the speech. And he said that it's not what you're capable of, it's what you're willing to do. And that's 1000% true, because capable, right? Capable. Everybody is capable of putting 18 minutes into something per day. Everybody is capable of putting in the work. Everybody's how many times have you seen something online and you're like, oh, I could do that. Oh, that's nothing. Well, yeah, that's because you can. You definitely can. You're capable of doing that. But the difference maker is, are you willing to? Are you willing to set aside the time? Are you willing to put in the work? And the answer for the majority of people is no. They're not willing to put in the time, the effort, to practice, to train, to read. They're not willing to do it. They can do it. Anybody can do anything, but they're not willing to do it, which is why the people that are successful are the 1%. Those people that have all of the money are part of the 1%, not because they're the only ones capable of doing whatever thing that they're doing. That's not why. It's because they were the ones that were willing to do it. They're the ones that were willing to put in the hours. They're the ones that were willing to put in the time, the dedication, the money to make sure that they succeed. Whereas the majority of people would rather, instead of invest money into themselves, go drink, go do drugs. They'd rather sit at home and watch TV. But those people that are part of that 1%, they take their money and they invest it. They take their free time and they use it to research, to read up, to train, to work out. They use their time much better than the majority of the world, which is why they are the 1%, because they actually are the ones willing to do the work. They're the ones willing to put forth the effort that the majority of people aren't. And that's why they are where they are. Now, I heard a story, and this goes pretty well with the mentality that I feel like most people have, right? Because the connotation that people have when they think of millionaires is they're greedy, they're selfish, they just care about money and things, and that's the only thing that they want. And the story that I heard, and unfortunately I can't give credit to whoever said it because I have no fucking clue who it was, but there was a story that I heard online, and it was a guy talking at a conference, and he was speaking about his mentor and what his mentor told him to do in order to become successful. He was 24, 25 years old at the time, and his mentor said, I want you to become a millionaire. Have a goal of becoming a millionaire. And the guy he was talking to, his mentee, I guess you can say, he's like, well, that's not easy. What are you talking about? That's not easy. He says, put in the work to become a millionaire. Have a goal of becoming a millionaire, but not for the material things, but for the person you become in order to achieve that. And So then he goes further along and he says, once you become a millionaire, don't become materialistic or don't remain materialistic. Give the money away. Because the truth of the matter is, in order to become a millionaire, in order to become successful, you have to be worth $1 million. And you can't just be anybody to do that. You have to be smart, adaptable. You have to be able to suffer through problems and be able to solve issues. You need to be very tolerant to stress because there's a whole lot of stress that goes along with that. And so his teaching in that was the millionaire isn't important because of the money, but because of the person that they are in order to make the money. They have to become a person worth that money. And that kind of person has more to offer the world aside from finances than most people do. He knows how to make $1 million. So he knows how to run a business. He can teach others how to run a business. He knows how to tolerate the stress. He can tell people what goes into that. How does he tolerate stress or she tolerate stress? There are characteristics and traits that go along with that make it much more valuable than just the financial amount associated with that person. Much more important than their net worth. So he said that. And he said, once you have the money, just give it all away. Give the money away. Keep enough to be happy, which we all know because we've seen the statistics. To be comfortable, I believe the number is something like $150,000 to $200,000 a year. After that, there's really not much difference, right? You can buy an extra car, you can buy a bigger house, but like after, I think it's 200,000, not much really changes. Your free time is your free time. It remains your free time. At 200,000, you're not really working a lot, unless you're building a business, of course, but your lifestyle doesn't really change much. So that extra money is just kind of like playing a video game. You're just trying to stack the chips in your favor. You're just trying to be the biggest, baddest character you could be, which, cool, good for you. But the road to the million is what is important, not the million itself. So, and a lot of people say the same thing, right? If you keep the mentality you have, a lot of people say, if I had all this money, I would give back to the poor, I would give back to the homeless, I would open up youth shelters and all of this shit, right? And that's all fantastic. So why not have the people with that mentality have that money? Why not become a millionaire so that you could be one of the good ones? Why not do that? The world needs more selfless millionaires. The world needs more compassionate millionaires. So because of the fact that all it takes is 18 minutes a day to become better than 95% of the world's population in a discipline, and most people are not willing to put in the work. They're capable but not willing to put in the work. Why would you not become that person who's willing to put in the work, willing to put in that 18 minutes a day, and be the one in your family to be able to change your entire family's trajectory from regular and average to above average? Why would you not want to be that happy family, going on vacations all together, smiling in the pictures, the Christmas card goes out every year, and the family looks wonderful, dressed well? Why would you not want that for yourself? And knowing that it's just 18 minutes a day should make you think that it's almost dumb not to do it. It's almost stupid not to pursue the goal of being a millionaire when just 18 minutes a day over the course of a year makes you better than the majority of the world in that discipline. And then you can, at that point, solve a problem, right? Because if you're willing to put in 18 minutes a day and you are on the road to becoming a millionaire, you have to be able to solve a problem. And then you can open a business with that solution, make the money. You can teach others how to do that same thing, and you can make the money. Then your family is now financially free. They don't have to clock in and out. They are working with you on your business, for you in your business. you hand that business down. You end up creating generational wealth so that you single-handedly change the trajectory of your family forever, because you were the one willing to put in the work, the selfless work to change the trajectory of your family. Now, I want to end the podcast today with a quote that I heard from Keon Henderson. It was a speech that he was doing, I'm not sure where, but the video itself has been circulating online for quite some time. And this quote stood out to me as a fantastic way to kind of finish this off, because it goes so well with the theme today. So Keon says, if you stay in environments where people don't realize your value, you'll shrink your gift to the size of what they can stand. I refuse to be small because you think small. So that is literally what everybody has to go through, whether it's family, friends, or coworkers. People only think so big. And when you start talking bigger, when you start dreaming bigger, you start making them uncomfortable because they don't want to hear that. They like to root for you and egg you on and tell you you're doing a great job at the beginning. But once you start showing signs of success, once you start actually climbing that ladder, they're not going to be the same way. They're not going to be okay with your success because your success now makes them uncomfortable. So when you're around people, which is why you have to choose the groups of people that you associate with so carefully, especially as you get older, because the dreams and aspirations that you have, if you're telling them to a small-minded group of people, all that they're going to do is try and bring you down to their level so that they don't have to feel inadequate around you. And honestly, you shouldn't be around people who feel inadequate around you. You want to be around people with the larger mindset, the people that see your success as a great thing and want more for you because they have more. Be around people that are willing to cheer you on through it all. Be around people who have success. So when they see you working, they look at you and they're proud. They're happy to see you working because they did that same thing. Because that drive, that motivation, that ability to continue even when you don't want to, the willpower required to pursue a dream is not something that everybody's willing to do, because it's countless hours of thankless work. You're going to be in the shadows for a long time before you all of a sudden explode out, right? There are businesses that are around for 5-10 years, just barely scraping by. And then all of a sudden one thing happens and boom, they're a humongous business all over social media. Everybody knows them. Everybody goes to them for whatever service they provide. But that whole time before that, no one really knew them and they were barely getting by. And if they were like most people, they'd be like, oh, well, we're not as big as we want. We're not as successful as we want to be. So we should probably just stop now. Go back to how life was. But they didn't do that. They were willing to put in the work and the time and just sit in the shadows waiting for that one chance and work towards it. And that's what you need to do. You need to be around people like that so that you can continue to grow and be as successful as you possibly can be. Because that is your job. That is your job as the one in your family. You owe it to your lineage to be successful. You owe it to your family to change the trajectory of your family forever. You owe it to them because you are the one. And for you to not put in the work is extremely selfish because you know you can. You're capable of it and you need to be willing to put in that work. I want to thank you guys for watching the episode today. If you have any questions at all, feel free to DM me or put it in the comments. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and throw something in the comments as well. And I'll see you guys next time.